Alright everybody, I am going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the Marvel Universe, because I've been hearing a lot of people recently complaining about what's going on, but I realize not everybody has a bunch of time in their life to read all of these things, so I'm going to give you guys a quick download of what's going on, so if you wanted to catch up you could. Warning, this is heavily spoiler filled. There is no spoiler free parts in this. I'm getting you up to date to where the Marvel Universe is right now, so turn it off if you don't want to have spoils. Okay. So Civil War, sorry it's backwards because I'm looking at myself to make sure I'm not looking stupid, but Civil War is the main storyline that's going and running through most of the titles. Every once in a while there'll be a title that doesn't truly tie in, but most of the time there's at least a little bit of tying in. So I'm going to get you guys started at the beginning. How did we get to Civil War? During last summer, right after Secret Wars, we had a little event that popped up called Attack on Pleasant Hill. It was a standoff thing, right? So Maria Hill actually used Kobik, who is the pieces of the Cosmic Cube. Know that Loki uses pieces of the Cosmic Cube in his spear to control people. So Maria used that to actually fool a bunch of bad guys into thinking that they were in this real idealistic, like Pleasantville kind of place where they all had jobs and they didn't cause any trouble. And one by one, starting with Baron Zemo, started waking up and realizing that something was wrong. So they actually started having a big rebellion. So you had a problem where toward the end of that, where Steve, old man Steve at that point, gets critically injured. Kobik, the little girl who's Cosmic Cube, comes and heals him. Okay? Back to young Steve. Okay? This sets up a whole bunch of other stuff that's tied into what's going on right now. At the end of Pleasant Hill, Bucky, who's in the Thunderbolts right now, takes the Thunderbolts, makes them promise to be good guys, which they're not really very good at doing, and takes Kobik with him. If you didn't read the first issue of the Thunderbolts, go back and find it. It will let you have an idea about why I think is what's going on in the universe right now for Marvel. You have someone in the Thunderbolts, I think it was Moonstone, starts mouthing off to Bucky and saying if he had truly the ability to rule the Thunderbolts, he should, take the Moonstone for himself and rule over them all. And she said it in a very general way so that anyone could challenge, I guess. Kobik said, okay, and rips it out of her and says, yay, I get to rule. Okay, so this kind of gives you an insight into the way that Kobik thinks. Kobik looks like a little girl, but I don't think she really has the attitude of a little girl. So right now, that's where she is. Running with Bucky. Things are getting more and more difficult for Bucky because of other things that are tying in. Let's see, where to start. Okay, so the Civil War. What is it about? Why is everyone angry at each other? Okay, it's very simple. Okay, there is a new Inhuman who was created, and his name is Ulysses. Okay, here's his book. He's got a standalone title. There's only been 2 of them so far. So he was, he inhaled a Terrigen Mist cloud, and his new power looks like he can tell the future, okay? All the things that have happened so far, starting with he had a vision of Thanos showing up. Captain Marvel took that information, got together the Avengers, Hercules, everybody, they all showed up, they stopped Thanos and put him in prison. Okay, so this is the first time they used the ability that Ulysses appears to have. Tony doesn't believe that he's actually seeing the future, and he actually kidnaps him at some point, does tests, and realizes that Ulysses is actually using complex algorithms to have visions. And it's all based on whatever information that he is given. The temperature, your aura, whatever. He's using all that and is giving him visions. And so although his foretellings are accurate, you have to wonder if someone foretells something and it's supposed to be the future and you can then go and stop it from happening, that is not future telling, because otherwise it would still happen no matter what. Everyone agrees on this point. I am certain about it. Okay? So if you're reading through all of the books, you start seeing little snippets of the fact that he is probably being controlled by somebody by the information that's being received. So I'm not going to spoil that because I kind of have ideas too. But currently, right now, Ulysses has been put in the tower with Karnak by, I think Medusa brings him there, okay? So that's what's going on, except for that doesn't turn out real well either. Okay, Karnak doesn't have a lot of feelings for anybody, you might have noticed. Okay, who else? Let's touch on some side stuff. Well, okay, let's get to the main thing. Why not? Okay, so not only do you have the Civil War, you've got Captain Marvel, who's using Ulysses, and you've got Tony, who says, no, you should not. So, and then you've got another conflict. You've got Medusa, head of the Inhumans, who's kind of on Carol's side. She is not on Tony's side, so she starts doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. She wrecks his business, not physically, but basically financially ruins him. But someone shows up and destroys Stark Tower, or one of his facilities, and he believes she did it. Okay? She knows she didn't. We know from reading the books that Lash has done it under instruction from another character in the books, which is probably the person who's actually holding the strings. Maybe Puppet Master. Okay? So then you've got this other big problem between the Inhumans, who need Terrigen to survive, because that's the only way they make new Inhumans, and you have mutants. The mutants are divided into two groups. You have the guys under Professor X, and you have people under Magneto. Magneto's up to no good. He wants to use it as an excuse to get rid of all those guys. You've got Professor X, who wants to try to find a way for them to all live. You've got the Inhumans, who definitely want to survive themselves. The problem is that if Terrigen touches mutants, they die. Okay, so there's not a lot of options for real peace amongst them, because the Terrigen cloud exists, and it has to exist in order for Inhumans to create more Inhumans. Okay, so you've got books like this where you've got Magneto trying to use Ulysses for himself. That doesn't turn out very well for him in that book. You also have side books like Old Man Wolverine, All New Wolverine, and Old Man Logan, where crazy stuff happens, like Ulysses sees that Old Man Logan is going to kill Gabby, his future granddaughter. It's kind of weird because they're from different universes. And because they confront him, he does. Now, you have to wonder, would he have done it if he wasn't confronted? I don't know. So there's all that kind of stuff. And not to worry, she doesn't really die because, you know, she's got Wolverine stuff in her, so she just heals. So spoiler on that. Okay? Then you've got this other crazy storyline. You've got so you've got Bruce, who appears to have lost his ability to Hulk out. Okay, so Banner is no longer hulking out. And Amadeus Cho, who's a totally awesome Hulk, which I really love that version of Hulk so much. He's very cocky and not ruled by anger at all, more ruled by just being fun. That's his mentor, right? His mentor is Banner. So Amadeus believes he's the smartest person in the world. He's only over like 5th or whatever. It doesn't matter. We have so many smart people in this universe. He believes that he's cured Bruce completely. Can't Hulk out anymore. All done. But what Bruce doesn't tell him is that Bruce still can Hulk out. The rest of the universe doesn't know this. The rest of the people don't know. So they assume Bruce is fine. Bruce makes an agreement with Hawkeye that if he ever sees him start to Hulk out, he's to kill him. Okay? And it does happen. So Bruce doesn't see it coming at all. Hawkeye's hiding in a tree. There's a conflict that happens in which you see Hulk's eye starting to turn green, and Barton shoots him through the eye. Okay, so then you have a big trial in the universe, in the Marvel Universe, where Barton gets tried. You have, I think Daredevil comes and actually does the trial himself. And then he gets cleared, which makes Amadeus very, very angry about that. So then the whole rest of the group has to worry about what Amadeus is going to do, okay? So you get books like this awesomeness where you have T'Challa actually creating Hulkbuster armor that looks like Black Panther, who comes and tries to quash him going, and he wants to go kill Barton, okay? So that's happening in the universe. You actually have things like this where Thanos, who is in prison, actually manages to get out. And that was last week. I think that T'Challa had a really good week. Okay? Then you've got the other crazy storyline, which is one of my very favorites. It's going on right now. You've got the Captain America storyline. Okay? Remember what I told you about Steve? That he was old Steve that got healed by Kobik, and now is young Steve? Well, in the Steve Rogers Captain America #1, the issue that it had created all the controversy, everyone was really mad. Nick Spencer wrote this amazing storyline that everyone got really mad about, but hey, don't worry. It's awesome. So, what you see is Steve's childhood in that first book. And it looks like his mother, who is being abused by Steve's father, goes and gets involved in a group. The group happens to be Hydra, but it is presented to her in a very positive way, just as help. And then it becomes clear as she goes that it's not. So she gets out. But Steve's indoctrinated, okay? And this is the reality that he believes. And he still currently believes that that's his back history. He is an agent of Hydra. He reports to the Red Skull, okay? No one else is privy to this information, and all of the Marvel characters at this time, as far as I know. So, what has really happened, I think, is that Kobik, when she touches him, gets into his brain, she plants this alternate history in his brain, okay? So he really believes that this is what's going on. He really is an agent of Hydra right now, yes, but that's not really Steve, okay? That's not his real back history. So just know, don't get mad, it's all coming to a point. And last week, you end up with some crazy, crazy stuff that kind of show us, I don't know if it's in this book or not, you see at the very end of, I think it was actually the end of Civil War, they have a vision that Ulysses puts out there where it looks like Captain America gets killed by Spider-Man, okay? And I think that that probably is a future telling that's going to change, but it also appears and it gets a little more fleshed out in another book this last week. So definitely try to catch up on that. So, gosh. Then you have the Uncanny Inhuman storyline. You've got Black Bolt showing back up. So he is currently in play. He is up to no good. Medusa better watch her back. And you also have Cable showing back up into the universe. Very important. I think he's going to be the thing that stands between Steve and everything else when the poop hits the fan. Okay? I already told you about Iron Man. Iron Man looks like he's having a lot of trouble. Since his other stuff has been destroyed, he actually has, in the middle of the rubble, he has Victor Von Doom show up and whisk him away. Okay? And so they're kind of talking to each other right now, except for Tony has switched places with him. He's actually imprisoned him in a big force field because, I guess he's always prepared for when Doom's going to show up. But what we've seen in covers for books coming forward is it appears that Doom has the armor on. So we know Tony's going to step out from being the Iron Man role, typical Iron Man role. And you've got this other sweet girl who's created Iron Man type armor who's going to step in. And the name of that book's going to be Ironheart, or her name's going to be Ironheart. I'm very intrigued by that storyline. That looks to be amazing going forward. And then you've got a problem that currently the USA agent and Steve are trying to get Sam out of the role of Captain America. I think on Steve's part, it's this Hydra thing that's kicking in. And so he's actually using the USA agent to actually have that happen without Sam know that it's him that's requesting it. Miss Marvel's a really good title to tie into. She's kind of figuring out that it's not a good thing what Carol's doing, because Carol she's taking it way far. She's actually not only using it to show up to try to prevent things from happening, she's imprisoning people before they actually do the crime that Ulysses is seeing. So one of her friends actually gets imprisoned, and in a book this week, it's a little side title, and I can't remember which one it is. I'll figure it out for you guys if you really want to know which one it is. One of the people, I think it's Dum Dum Dugan, actually kills someone. Okay? This is without trial, without knowing for sure that was going to be a thing going forward. It's going to have huge repercussions. I'm certain of it. And then the last big storyline that's going on is the Deadpool stuff. Because Deadpool has been busy trying to help with the Civil War stuff, his mercs that he's been carrying around, the Mercs for Money guys, they actually are not very happy at all with him because they're not making a bit of money because he's spending all their money to help Civil War matters. So right now what you're seeing is you're seeing all of those titles that are coming out from now. You're seeing Solo and I can't remember all the rest of the titles of them, but they're all getting their own books. I think that's why. I think they're going to end that storyline of him being their boss and they're going to go off on their own. And I think all that's going to tie together. So, to wrap up, the stuff that's going on right now is going to come to a head. You're going to see the Inhumans versus X-Men, the two sets of X-Men, come to a head. That's probably going to happen in Death of X. So that's where that storyline is headed. You're going to see Civil War 2 round out. So if you have time to read those extra titles, usually one of the titles a week or two will have huge things in them. Someone's going to die. Like the one where Bruce Banner died, that was a side title. It wasn't in the main stuff at all. So if you're not reading those or hit me up for information about where it is, I'm glad to tell you which ones they'll have them in there so you can get them to your customers' hands or you can buy them yourselves. Just ask me. So I just want to let you guys know, I love Marvel. I've always loved Marvel. It's because I believe all of their stuff is a lot of emotionally driven motivations for their characters. I don't ever feel like their stuff is, let's get to the next battle. Let's have some stuff thrown in here to get to the next battle stuff. And this is why, because I can see it totally flowing through the entire universe. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's all Kobik driven. I think they haven't mentioned Kobik in a long time, and I think it's because she's the reason that all this stuff is happening. I think if they reset the universe at any time, it's because they're going to reveal that she's been affecting the reality of everybody, okay? So, if I didn't cover anything that you wanted to know, let me know. I'll make a new video for you. So, I hope this was helpful to everybody, and have a good day.